Other interesting culture news, they had a 1981 DeLorean with only 977 miles on the odometer is found. And thankfully, it does have three pedals, like every vehicle should. Also known as a manual transmission, also known as the most fun you'll ever have while driving, also known as you'll never have to worry about the dangers of texting or driving or drinking a coffee while driving and distracted by driving because you are one with the vehicle. You are having a blast. Fun intended because it is done with an internal combustion engine, also known as the most fun you can have, and also known as the thing that will last a quarter of a million miles, or I should say more than that, actually a quarter of a century or a million miles if you buy Japanese. Now, this is one of those things where, from a business perspective, and if I had an unlimited budget, I would get a DeLorean for the background. I have no idea how much structural reinforcement I would need for this wall behind me to mount a DeLorean, but in terms of business history, DeLorean is fascinating. John DeLorean was a genius. He literally engineered some of the most beautiful vehicles ever made when he was one of the heads at General Motors back in the day. And one of the most iconic things he ever made was the Pontiac GTO. And I'm talking about the one in the 60s that was made in America, not the one that was subsequently made in Australia that was imported, I believe, from 2005 to 2007, give or take, which was a fun vehicle, but it's not really a GTO. I'm talking about the GOAT. And this one comes thanks to a barn find, literally a barn find in Dalisman. Now, in terms of the business history of DeLorean, John DeLorean, he founded the company. Interestingly enough, they're all made in Ireland, thanks to tax incentives, which also is a good business lesson is businesses, like people, react to incentive. So it seems like every couple of years, Ireland has some really good business incentives. You even saw this with technologies like EMC, a big storage company, and we're also a partner at Top Technologies. A lot of their hardware was manufactured there for a few years because of the tax incentives. So John DeLorean set up the assembly there, and it was a brilliant futuristic vehicle. A little disappointing, the engine was a little underpowered. Thankfully, we can do a LS swap or V8 swap, as many vehicles should by default. But it's a fascinating futuristic design. The stainless steel body is iconic. The detriment of the DeLorean, unfortunately, was that Back to the Future came out a couple years too late. And it was one of those things where he was entrapped, and he had this situation where he had financial issues, and he was accused day one, of course, of being an embezzler. Cover your ears if you have children listening, but having a dealing with cocaine. And of course, years later, he was proven innocent, and of course, that was page 6 to the New York Times, as they always say, accused page 1, acquitted page 6. But it's one of those things where after that movie came out, it really was iconic. It's a futuristic, beautiful vehicle. Perhaps and Tesla's trying to manufacture the Cybertruck almost as a homage to the original materials that they used. If you're on the streets, you never see a stainless steel body on the road. You see everything you see is painted. Or if you're really fancy, you get a really nice sports car with clear carbon fiber. And the issue that Tesla's coming around with is it's very hard to accurately manufacture these panels. Especially, Tesla also wants them to be very straight, which, again, the tolerance is needed. But nevertheless, DeLorean was a great entrepreneurial story, and he certainly made a dent in the universe, as I would say. I mean, every time you see one, you think of that film. Unfortunately, the company was already bankrupt by the time the film came out. Now, in terms of who found this, it looks like Mike Elhatton Mick Elhatton. That sounds right. Now, he is actually a part of the Illinois-based DeLorean Midwest. He got a call from apparently New Mexico about a DeLorean car for sale, claiming that, and then he found out it's got 977 miles. That's nothing. That's basically factory new. Now, it looks like in terms of the actual find, the car was manufactured in April 1981 and appeared to be mostly, if not completely original, even down to the blue oil filter. And it even had factory tires on it. And plenty of tread on them, of course, because it wasn't driven too hard for that 977 miles. And it is one of those beautifully fascinating time capsules. And, I mean, nowadays, there's a little period where a DeLorean was worth basically nothing, but a brilliant entrepreneur in the best state of the Union, Texas, they actually bought out all the surplus, because there were old panels and old vehicle components still in Ireland. They all imported them to the United States a couple years back, so there's a full restoration plant and facility for DeLoreans in Texas. And nowadays, they actually are priced up because they're collectibles. They're going everywhere from, maybe $50,000 to $90,000. Again, depending on the conditions. Flux capacitor does usually help. And it'll be interesting to see how much, if they're going to try to restore this or if they're going to auction it off. But in terms of like fun culture story of the day, this really it caught my eye because it's such a unique, fascinating thing. And let me know in the comments, do you want to see more car stories like this? As you know, I'm a big fan of manual transmission. The 3 Pedal Gang is our fan club here, as we just launched with YouTube monetization. And I can't thank everyone in the comments enough, especially Johnny Tsunami and a lot of the top commenters. And really helps the channel grow and develop. And we're trying to make it better every day. So I do appreciate the additional feedback in the comment section. But let me know in the comments, do you want to see kind of more of these unique car stories like this? And what other stories might you find more interesting that I could look into? Let me know. I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone again for taking the time to tune in. We're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of October. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, all the comments are greatly appreciated as well. We try to make the show better and better together. Don't forget to take the time to like the video because it might help with the algorithm. It seems to change on a daily basis of how the magical wizards at YouTube recommend videos or not. But what helps the channel even more out is if you just take the time, and I do appreciate it, take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.